In this video, I'm going to show you how to do the initial setup for doing work in this course. The idea is to create separate folders for all the various things that you need to do for English 401. So the very first thing is to create a new folder. And I'm just going to go to the File, New Folder menu. And I'm working on a Mac, but the process is very, very similar on a Windows machine. And I've created a folder, and it defaults to Untitled folder, and I'm going to name it A1. Now, a few things about naming things. First of all, always use lowercase. If you mix upper and lower case in the names of folders or files, you're going to simply get confused very, very quickly, because capital A1 and lowercase 1 are, as far as the system is concerned, two completely separate objects. So if you always name something with lowercase, you won't have to remember what you named with an uppercase letter and a lowercase letter. The second thing to remember when naming your folders or your files is never to begin it with a number. Always begin with a letter. You can use other characters besides lowercase letters and numbers, but with the exception of the underscore character, it's generally not a good idea because different machines can react differently to various and sundry characters. So the best thing to do is limit yourself to lowercase letters, numbers, when absolutely necessary, and underscores. So now that I've created this first folder and I've given it a name, A1, you could probably infer from that that you're going to have a folder for your first assignment, and that's exactly right. So you're going to have, in fact, three folders, A1, A2, A3, and into each one of those folders you're going to put only those files that relate to that particular assignment. Now, before we go ahead and create the other two folders, I'm going to double-click and open this folder up, and I'm going to put my cursor inside there, and I'm going to create yet another folder, just as we did before. And this one is called Untitled, and I'm going to rename that to Media. And what we're doing here is creating a separate folder in our A1 folder that is going to contain the various media we use. So there'll certainly be images, and later on in the course you're probably going to use video, sound recordings, animations. We'll see how things develop. But you want to keep all your media in the same place, and that is going to create a much clearer workspace for you and make things easier to find. So I'm just going to close this out, and I'm going to repeat this process twice more. And rather you watching me, I'll come back just in a moment. So I've created three folders, A1, A2, A3, and they're all very similar. That is, if you open A2, you'll see that there's a media folder in there, and there's nothing in the media folder at the moment because we haven't put anything in, and the same thing with A3. So Assignment 1, Assignment 2, and Assignment 3. One of the virtues of using short names is that it reduces the possibility of typographical errors when you enter them. But you do have to be careful that the names are meaningful. In the context we're working in, however, A1, A2, and A3 are pretty clear. They are about your assignments. We're going to create another folder, just as we did before, and I'm going to call this one EX. And that, as you probably can guess, is going to be for the exercises that you do. Now, I'm not going to, inside of it, create a media file, a folder, excuse me. As you do various exercises, we'll create folders, for example, exercise 1, exercise 2, and those folders, in turn, will have media folders inside. But we don't want to have one media folder for all our exercises. Each of our exercises will have its own folder and its own media folder. Finally, we're going to create one last one, just as we've done before, and I'm going to call this one Stuff. And this is deliberately a vague generic name. This is where, when we're doing work in class and you're not particularly interested in keeping it with your serious work, or rather with the work that you're going to submit, you'll have just a kind of a playground or a sandbox. So again, because we don't know what eventually is going to go into stuff, we won't bother putting a media folder inside there. So just to reiterate, we have 5 folders. 3 of them are for our 3 assignments. 1 of them is for the exercises we'll do, and 1 of them is a kind of a general catch-all folder in which we'll put the work that we do in class.